Live from the heart of America, I'm Steve Gruber, your soldier of truth, the tip of the spear against socialists, here ready to fight for you from the foxhole of freedom. And please remember, my friends, remember to think while it's still legal. This is the Steve Gruber Show, and here are three big things you need to know to start this day. Number one, a major grocery store chain pulling name brand products from its shelves. It's the latest move to stop massive losses to thieves. Is it working? I'll take a look. Number two, the push for new and unproven injections for COVID coming in a week as the First Lady tests positive and Anthony Fauci denies any responsibility. And number three, let's talk about that. There's a lot to talk about. With Labor Day behind us, COVID mandates coming at us quickly, there's a lot to talk about. Let's see here. Let me see here. I want to check on something here. You know, the polling continues to plague Joe Biden. Here's what I'm checking. Jill Biden has tested positive for COVID. That ought to accelerate everything they're talking about, right? Jill Biden now testing positive. The polling continues to plague Joe Biden's incredibly weak term as president. So we'll get to all that coming up. The country, according to a supermajority, is on the wrong track. A supermajority don't think that Joe Biden should be running again. Most don't believe he has what it takes to run anything, let alone the most powerful nation on earth. However, Donald Trump getting pummeled by activist prosecutors is taking its toll in some ways as well, and it has left them tied in poll after poll. Trump might be +1 or -1, and same for Biden. Doesn't look like Trump will leave the race for any reason, but some are trying to block him from getting on the ballot in some states. It's not likely to succeed, but it creates more noise and more problems. A bigger concern for most Americans is the appearance of weakness and frailty on behalf of Joe Biden, who often seems confused. He can't remember people's names. He can't find his way off the stage, and he set a modern record for vacation time while in office. 40%, over 40% of the time that Joe Biden has allegedly been the commander-in-chief, he has spent it on vacation, Rehoboth Beach and elsewhere. But what can Democrats do at this point? They led Joe to believe he was really in charge, though most of us know he's just play acting. Here, sign this, Joe. Smile and wave over there, Joe. Just keep walking, Joe. Don't say anything. No. Just keep walking. And though Joe Biden has never been very smart, it's not a smart guy. He's always been arrogant to make up for it. Telling people he has a higher IQ or challenging them to go out behind the woodshed or do push-ups or whatever other embarrassing outbursts he makes while lying about his background or his educational prowess. I was top of my class, had 27 majors. No, you didn't. How do they get him out of the race? It's after Labor Day, and that means the race is getting serious, right? How do you get him out? Well, Sarah Bedford from the Washington Examiner laid out some of the huge pitfalls of Joe Biden leaving the race now for the Democrats. These are substantial risks. Pay attention.
I think there's two separate considerations for Joe Biden, and they sort of demand different things of him, right? From a governance perspective, if he were to drop out of the 2024 race right now, he'd essentially be a lame duck president. He would have no credibility on Capitol Hill, no real credibility to sign any executive orders. So basically, the rest of his presidency would be spent on that decision. But politically, it would demand of him that he would step out of the race now, right? If he wanted a successor other than Kamala Harris, his historically unpopular vice president, because the longer he stays in the race, the less likely it is that a successor from outside of his administration would be able to step up and take his place. So politically, the consideration would demand that Joe Biden step out of the spotlight now. That would be forfeiting the rest of his presidency. And I think there is still a belief in the Democratic Party that Donald Trump, despite how high his unfavorables are, despite how politically weak he might be, that he is a tough Republican to beat. And Joe Biden is still, at this point, the only Democrat who's shown that it's possible to beat him.
But can he? Can he? You look around and you listen to people from all walks of life that are walking away from the Democrats. They're tired of being patted on the head and told, hey, you just don't understand. The economy's great. The border's secure and masks work to stop COVID. Now, you do as you're told. But it keeps coming back to money. It does. Financial issues, as it should. What do ordinary people have to say about Bidenomics these days? I mean, how is it working for you as you sit there today? Here's one take.
He's failed. Everything he does, just between the border, everything I pay for is more. So I don't know how Bidenomics works. If everything I'm paying is more, gas, everything. So,
well, it means you pay more.
yeah, you just pay more for everything. We try to come out on vacation for a little bit, but you see what you pay here. Businesses, I don't know how they're even surviving.
I don't know how people are surviving. And don't you, I mean, look. Over the holiday weekend, we went to a couple of restaurants, right? Group of us, 4 or 5, I pick up the bill. You can't get out of a restaurant for $100. You can't. Unless there's some magical special, right? You put 5 or 6 people in a restaurant, you can't get out for $100. And that's just for starters. You go to McDonald's and you buy 4 Happy Meals, it's $30, maybe more, right? That's a pretty good indication that things are tough out there. If you can't take the kids to McDonald's and feed them to get through the day from fast food, there's a problem. And there is a problem. The inflation problem hits everybody. It's not like, well, inflation's great now. Is it? You see, this cumulative effect of inflation has hit every family in America. You, me, everyone. And Joe Biden's polling numbers, well, they keep getting weaker. His failed leadership cannot be ignored by most Americans now, unless you work at CNN and must protect the senile old man. Right? If that's your game, then you can do that. Listen.
Frankly, I think people have forgotten how bad Donald Trump was. I think people have forgotten all the gaffes and mistakes that Donald Trump made as president, while the ones that Joe Biden makes are, front and center, and they are national news media. They get national news media and national news media attention. I think people have forgotten what a stressful, horrible, divisive time for America the Trump presidency was. The daily tweets leading to culture wars, the attacks on people personally, the dominant attacks on international leaders, just the way we lived for 4 years. I think people have forgotten that.
Yeah, people have forgotten that because none of that is actually real. Anna Navarro is one of those fake Republicans, claimed to be a Republican, got herself a job at CNN, so she could call herself a Republican, although she spends her days attacking Donald Trump and then Governor DeSantis and then Nikki Haley and then anybody else who comes down there. Everybody is an enemy, so she's a Republican. She just happens to hate all Republicans and all Republican policies. Again, that's how she got a job at CNN. These people are frauds. She's a grifter. Complete fraud and grifter. There she is. Anna Navarro, fraudster. All right, we're going to look even closer at the things that affect you and what you need to do going forward. How do we make this better? I've got some ideas. I do. After the break, welcome to a short week. It's the Steve Gruber Show.